Hey, Coach Anderson here, and today I'm going to give you my 5 top tips for losing fat while you're at home. Tip number 1 is to start tracking your food and to start to eat in a small calorie deficit. Now, the way you do this is to work out what your total daily energy expenditure is, or your TDEE as it's known. By doing a calculation online, you can do this via a number of TDEE calculators. There are loads online that you can use, or simply, if already you are in a position where the food that you're eating is matching your weight intake, so you're not gaining weight at the moment, you're not losing weight, then you're probably at your kind of weight maintenance as you are. So I would just start to log your food, and then from there, what we need to do is minus off around 10 to 15% of what you're currently eating, or from your maintenance if you did go to the TDEE calculator. When you're in a 10 to 15% deficit, what that means is you're going to be burning more energy in a day than what you're eating. And this is really, really vital. It's the biggest part of the puzzle when it comes to fat loss, because diet is so important and it's so easy to out-eat the training and the exercise that you're doing and ultimately the energy you're burning in a day. Now, this might take a little bit of practice and a little bit of trial and error to get used to. It's not easy to get that right, and it's never going to be a perfect science either, but it is the biggest part of the puzzle. So spend a bit of time to learn this and to try and get this right. Once you've done this and you're logging your food correctly and you know you're eating around 10 to 15% less than what you're currently burning, then we can go on to point 2. And point number 2 is to up your NEAT. And you might have heard this term thrown around a little bit. NEAT stands for non-exercise activity thermogenesis. And this is basically all the activity you do in a day that isn't planned exercise. So this is literally fidgeting, walking, when you go out to walk the dog, when it's climbing up and down the stairs at work. All of that stuff is your non-exercise activity. This stuff where I'm throwing my hands around, that is included in there. But it is often coined as your steps. Now, steps are what we aim for because it's easy to track this on your fitness trackers if you've got a fitness tracker. And the golden standard for your NEAT is your 10,000 steps a day. So one thing you can do is if you have a tracker, you can look to start to get 10,000 steps a day. It could be quite away from where you are. You may already be doing that. If so, fantastic. If not, then your aim is to try and get towards that as your next step. Now, if you don't have a tracker, what you need to do is just start to move more. And usually the easiest way of doing this is to start going out for some sort of walk, whether it's before work, whether it's after work, whether if you don't work, then you can just go out in the day, and all of that will add to your non-exercise activity. Basically, we're upping the level of calories out that are going to go into this equation and ultimately burning more energy across the day. This leads us then on to point number 3. So once you are working out what you're eating and you're tracking your food and you're consistently doing a bit more steps, you're getting out there, you're burning more calories on a day-to-day basis by just simply moving more, then we can look at the exercise. Now, this might be a couple of weeks down the line, but when you start to do this, then we can look at, okay, can we add in some actual planned exercise? Now, when it comes to planned exercise, my number 1 rule is to have some fun with your fitness. It's important to do something that you enjoy because the likelihood is you're going to do it more often and you're going to do it sustainably. So it's going to be something you're going to want to do long term, not just for 6 weeks. So my advice is ultimately do something you're going to enjoy. The best way to train, I would say, is to add in some resistance-based sessions. Now, at home, that literally can just be with your body weight. That can be something that you find on YouTube. It can be anything at all where you're actually just joining in, starting to do some movements, things like your squats, your press-ups, that comes into it. Now, if you're physically able to do any exercise, maybe you're unfit, this is where you can start. It doesn't matter where you start, the important part is to start. And when you start to add those sessions in, even if it's 30 minutes for 3 times a week, it's also going to add to this the energy out in the week. And also you're going to start to stimulate the muscles for growth, and this is important in the long run. When you build muscle, your overall energy output in the day goes up, and this is called your metabolism. Your metabolism will be faster when you have more muscle, and it's this exercise that you'll start to incorporate in over time that helps to retain and build muscle. And then the more of that we have, the bigger the engine you've got in order to burn calories in a day. So with this added in, what this means is you've got not only your calories are being tracked by your food, you're upping your overall activity on a daily basis, and we're starting to add in actual planned exercise that's going to also add to that calorie burnout, but start to stimulate and build muscle so that in the long run, you become a better fat burning engine. Tip number 4 is probably the hardest one of the lot, and that is to improve upon your sleep, to make sure you're aiming for 7 to 9 hours a night. And the reason why is simply because sleep is where all of the repair and growth of your body happens. It's also where a lot of your hormones are regulated. And this has a massive impact on you on a daily basis. So it's going to regulate your blood sugar better, so you're less likely to get cravings during the day for those foods that perhaps aren't going to be helpful towards your fat loss. You're going to have more energy to do the workouts and to go out and get walking. And also you're going to repair and grow that muscle that you're working out during the day. So there are so many benefits, and that's just a few of them as to why sleep is important during this process. Nearly all of the processes that happens in terms of growth, repair, fat burning happens during the sleep, because your body's having to do less digestion and just keeping your body kind of moving during the day. It focuses on that part during the night. So if you're not getting enough sleep, then you're ultimately not going to be getting that recovery. You're not going to be having the energy for the next day, and you're going to increase the amount of cravings you're going to get during this journey, which is only going to make it harder. And tip number 5 is simply to track your progress. Ultimately, whether it's done with your weight, your clothes size, your energy levels, whatever it might be, we need to get a parameter of measures that's going to tell us whether what you're doing is actually working or not. Because ultimately, if not, we want to change and adjust the program to make sure that you're going to get the results you want. And this is ultimately my 5 top tips, because it doesn't matter if you don't have access to a gym, it doesn't matter if you don't have weights at home. All of this stuff can be done, and ultimately is 90% of what fat loss requires can be done here at home without any weights or gyms or anything like that. But ultimately it does require certain things to be done in order for fat loss to occur. So start with number 1 and work your way through, ultimately tracking your progress along the way. And these are the 5 top tips I would give to anyone looking to lose fat whilst at home. Now, of course, if you are in a position where you are looking for some help with your fat loss, please do reach out. I am a coach and I am here to help. So please do message me if you would like some specific coaching or to know a little bit more about your personal goals for fat loss. I hope this makes sense, and I hope that you now know a little bit more as to what you need to do for your fat loss at home. And I will speak to you soon, and have a good day.